What is going on? This is AlTone and welcome to another absolutely fantastic day, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about 3 years. 3 years of using this distiller, and it's been awesome. It's been absolutely fantastic. This is the Megahome Distiller, and so I'm going to share with you my thoughts on it. I actually want to take the top apart at this point and try to see if we can take the top apart and clean it. And wipe it down, clean the inside, and I'm going to share some information with you on it. So let's go ahead and get into that. So this, of course, is the Megahome Distiller. In the box, you know, if you've been watching my other videos. If you haven't, you need to check out my other reviews. But this is 3 years. 3 years we've been using it, no problems whatsoever. This particular one came with the glass container. I'm not showing that glass container, but again, if you want to see everything it came with, you can check out my original review and my 1-year review videos on this distiller. But we're going to go into a couple of things, and people have asked questions about it, and I want to share, our thoughts on it. And so, of course, that is the little carbon filter there. I'll put another one of these in there before we run it again, but essentially, it actually comes with a few. You change those out every so often. Change them out, put new ones in, and I'll clean that whole thing up and put new filters in there later. But that is that's that. Now this, the inside of this one is glass. I think some of them are ceramic. We don't have the ceramic one. This one's glass, and it seems to work well. Now this outside is plastic, of course, and we do notice that I'm expecting this eventually for this to wear out or break. But pretty much every time I take the top off, almost every time, it just pops off because it's pretty loose, and it's just made out of plastic, so it pops off. So eventually I'm expecting it's going to wear out, and I'm going to have to get another one. But it seems to work fine. So every time I take the top off, of course, it pops off. So I just went ahead and took it off now, just so it wouldn't be in the way, so we could really get into the rest of this. So here it is. Take the top off here, and I've actually been running it for a couple of days, and if you look, so for 3 years. 3 years of use. If you look in the top, there's quite a bit of dust in there. And if you look in the side, you can see that in the side, there's quite a bit of dust inside on the coils themselves. So I'm going to try to clean that up today. See if we can take it apart real quick and clean that up. In the inside, which we're also going to clean, if you take a look in there, you can see that is residue from about 2 or 3 weeks worth of usage from the water being used. And if you look as well, there's a little discoloration at the top here, which is normal. You probably can't see it as well because it hasn't been cleaned, but there is a little bit of discoloration at the top here. And I'm pretty sure that is from it heating up and cooling and heating and cooling and heating and cooling the stainless steel. It happens if you have ever owned a motorcycle and you had a stainless steel muffler. You'll notice that your muffler will start to change in colors. It'll go off a little bit, but that's natural. I've used vinegar to try to clean the inside before. Same thing, run it with the top off. And vinegar doesn't do the best job of cleaning it. It just hasn't for me. I imagine if you do that a few times. But if you actually get the material, the right material that they use in order to clean it, it comes out pretty well. So it comes pretty clean. The outside, I will show you in a little bit how I clean the outside of this. And then of course this part of it, usually I just use a damp rag to clean the plastics off. And I usually get in there with a brush, and these brushes, they're pretty inexpensive. I got like 40 of them in a box, and they're good for quite a few different things. And so Pen Club, I may link these in the description below if you want to check them out. But I mean, if not, you can get any type of brush and use that to clean these fins out and clean these little areas out inside the clean the dust out. You don't have to take this thing apart. I'm going to do something I've never done and take it apart for the first time and clean it out because there is a lot of dust in there. You could actually probably use a vacuum cleaner to do this as well. But we're going to see if we can do this without damaging anything. And so, let's go ahead and see if we can do this real quick. There's only 3 screws holding this together. And just to let you know, I'm one of those people that, as a kid, I was and my parents will tell you, I was a kid that if you gave me a screwdriver, I could disassemble a tank. Now, putting it back together is a totally different story. But I spent a lot of time, if my parents were going to throw something away, anything, I didn't care what it was. Old telephone, television sets, tape recorders, CD players. Well, CDs, I've taken apart a few CD players, but if anything that they were going to dispose of, I would take it apart before it went in the garbage. Wow. So, yep, we got it apart. And that is the inside. And look how dusty the inside of this is. It absolutely needs to be cleaned up. So, we're going to clean this thing up. And all I'm going to use is, I'm not going to use any water or anything on it. All I'm going to use is this paintbrush. And even clean the inside here, inside of this case. I'm going to clean the inside of that. Again, 3 screws. It's only 3 screws. I would not go any further in depth as far as trying to take this thing apart to clean it. Just don't go any further in taking this apart, because if you do, you may end up breaking something or damaging something. You're also going to probably want to run, because we're going to run we're going to clean this out as best we can, and I may even take it over to the sink and just run some water through the tubing to make sure no dust got into the tubing itself. But after we clean this part of it up. And you might even want to wear a respirator while you're doing this, because there's a lot of dust coming out of it. Now, the other thing that I would do, because essentially this is plastic and it's actually clinging, the dust is actually clinging to this. So as I dust it off, it just collects back on the outside. This is going to help a little bit, and I think it's probably going to keep it from getting too, not being able to. Wow, that's a lot of dust there. Not being able to cool the air and stuff coming through it very well. But again, I'm not going to do a whole lot to this. I'm just going to be very careful. Probably need to do this over a trash can. Alright, so for the most part, we got this thing pretty clean. She's pretty clean. I mean, it's not perfect by any means. By no stretch of the imagination is it perfect. But I was able to get a good amount of dust out of this thing. So hopefully that'll make it continue. Now I could give, for the purpose of not taking too much time with this video, I'm not going to go any further in depth with cleaning this. It does not necessarily meet my standard of cleanliness, honestly. But it is much better than it was. And just by cleaning these fins off and everything, that should help this to run just a little bit more efficiently. Now, the other thing, like I was saying earlier, you could possibly come in here with a damp rag and just kind of wipe wipe things down a little bit more, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and put this thing back together because, again, I don't want to overdo it. What I probably will do is take something and run it into the coil and just clean that a little bit because I just finished dusting the outside, and I want to make sure that there aren't any, any residue of dust and stuff inside this coil. So I may just run water through it just to make sure that inside of this coil is actually clean. But do that very carefully if you do, because again, there's electronics here, and you do not want to get these electronics wet because you may end up damaging your distiller. And not only that, but screws. Those 3 screws, I did leave them in place, but if you're going to use a vacuum cleaner around this as you're dusting it, which I do recommend you do, make sure that you keep track of your screws. You don't want to have to go dig through the dust in your vacuum to try to figure out where these screws are. So let's go ahead and put this part back together. Then I'm going to show you how I clean that, and we'll talk about a couple of other things. One of the things that I do want to talk to you about and share with you as we do this, let's see how these screws are lined up here. Okay, they're not. Yeah, so you want to make sure your screws line up with the holes that they actually go into. So you can screw this thing back together. So I did check the power that this consumes, and for us here and what we pay, oops, didn't get that. Gotta make sure that that's in there. For what we pay for electricity, it costs us about 37 cents to run this distiller every time we run it. And to me, that's not bad at all. 37 cents to run this distiller for 5 hours and distill essentially 2 liters of water, that full glass container of water. It costs us 37 cents every time we run it. And that means, I'll do the math in a second, if you're running it for a full month, twice a day, let's figure that out real quick. For me, and how much we pay, so 0.37, let's say we're running it twice a day times 2. We usually sometimes we run it twice a day. So 74 cents a day times 31. So we're talking $22.94 a month for us to run this, distiller. And I will share with you here on the screen what the full kilowatt hours in which we use this. It costs us $22.94 to run it every day, twice a day, for 30 days. So we may be saving a little bit in how much we're actually spending based on distilling water, or not. I'm not going to worry about doing all the math here, with the exception of, so we got it back together, and she's much cleaner than it was. So next we want to, and I always set it on the top, we're going to wash the top of this carefully and rinse it out with just a tad bit of soap, dishwashing liquid, just a very little bit, because you want to make sure you get all of that out of there. You don't want to be drinking dishwasher liquid. And then clean that. And between uses, this one has not been cleaned between uses, hasn't been. But between uses, you want to do the same thing. Wash it out with dishwashing liquid and let it and clean it out. Now for cleaning the inside of it out, when you initially buy it, it does come with this water residue cleaner, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good, but of course you're going to run out. And so what I've purchased is the cheapcitric.com distiller residue cleaner and descaler. Comes in this package, and what I did was I actually filled this back up so I wouldn't have to keep opening this package. I have and I can just use this, open it up, and open up the run the distiller with this in it, and let it get cleaned out. Then I clean it out with water and a little bit of dish soap, clean the inside out, and then we'll fill it back up and start using it again. And of course, you'll repeat this as much as you need to in order to get it as clean as you'd like for it to be. The last time I usually only run it one time, and even with as much as in there, it's usually pretty cleaned out. And that's pretty much it. So we're going to go ahead and do that now, and then I'll come back and share how we clean the outside and a little extra information with you. Hopefully get some other questions answered for you, and we just go from there. All right. And we are back. It is the next day, because reading the instructions of the cleaner that I have for the distiller, something I guess I didn't do before, but it still worked, is you put the measurement of, you put the water, you fill it up, the water up to the fill line, you put the measurement of the cleaner into the distiller, and then you let it heat to a boil, and you unplug it and you let it sit overnight. And that's exactly what I did. And so now you can actually see the inside of this bad boy is crystal clear. I mean, it's beautiful. Now there is still a little bit of a discoloration if you look around the top, but for the most part that discoloration is actually gone inside. This is just up to the water line, so it doesn't get rid of that discoloration, but I mean, it's perfect. You're right, and I don't even know if you can see it or not, but you're right where you need to be. This bad boy looks pretty much brand new. One of the things that I actually do, because it is stainless steel as well, I thought I had some more, but we ran out of stainless steel wipes. I will link the ones that we use down in the description as well. So everything that I'll talk about in this video, I actually have a link for in the description. But we use a stainless steel cleaner that we use on the refrigerator, the stove, the dishwasher. Keeps the kitchen looking nice and clean, because sometimes stainless steel can pick up fingerprints and that kind of stuff. So we use that. I use that to clean just the outside. Do not use it on the inside. Otherwise, you're going to need to wash it with soap and water really good on the inside of this before you start putting water in. Of course, it should not contaminate the water that you have coming out of it, but we don't want to take any chances. You want to keep the inside of this distiller as clean as you possibly can, so you don't have to worry about, the only thing that you're really worried about filtering out is what comes through your pipes into your home and into this tank or into this distiller, not other chemicals that you've added into it. I'm not going to trust the distiller to, even though it's evaporating the water and sending it up through the pipes into the catch container, a glass container, but I'm not going to try to put any other stuff in here, any other chemicals in here that is going to have to also filter out, because I don't know for sure that all of those chemicals will filter out completely. And so that's pretty much it. Like I said, 3 years, 3 fantastic years of using this distiller. I did notice on the back around one of the plugs here, there's a crack, and I want to, there's nothing I can do to fix that. I didn't realize the plastic had cracked on it, but it's fine. It's going to be perfectly okay, and we're going to continue to use it. Doesn't keep everything from plugging in. The only other thing that I have done, which I did not show you that I was doing, was I actually took the top of this and I ran water into this and let it come out to kind of filter out the water going into, making sure we didn't catch any dust as we took this bad boy apart and cleaned it. And so she's ready to go, and so I hope this truly did. Hope this helped you in some way. This is one of the things that I do want to share with you. The bottom of this distiller I'm not taking apart. I only took off this plastic top case to clean out the inside, clean the fan, and clean the fins here for cooling the water as it comes through as a vapor for cooling that. That's the only thing I did here. If your distiller is less than a year old, because you should have at least a year warranty on it, if your distiller is less than a year old, I would not take it apart at all. Clean it as best you can from the outside, because if you do anything inside, if you take it apart in any way, it's going to void your manufacturer's warranty, and you really don't want to do that. So don't disassemble this if you know that you still have warranty left on it. If you have problems with it, contact Megahome and try to have them take care of your warranty or any issues that you have. We have not had any problems at all. No strange odors. Everything is great. It's been working fine. So don't try to take this apart yourself and try to fix it if it's still under warranty. If it's not under warranty, then you make a choice. You can try to contact them to have it repaired or whatever. But if you're going to clean it, wait till after your warranty is out before you take this top cover off. And like I said, this has been 3 years. We've owned this bad boy for 3 years, and I'm just now taking this cover off and cleaning the dust out of the inside of that. And that's as far as I'm going. I'm still not going any further than that, because as much as I know about electronics, as much as I could probably solder contacts and all of that kind of stuff, I am not going to do any more to this because it's not broken. I'm not going to try to fix it. If it does break and something doesn't work, I may try to take it apart and try to figure out what's wrong with it. There's not a whole lot of moving parts on this. I may take it apart, try to figure it out myself, but and then replace it if I need to. But again, just be mindful. Do not take this thing apart if it's still under warranty, and also be very careful with doing so, knowing that these parts are electric. Current runs, electrical current, 120 volts will run through this thing. If you do the wrong thing, you could possibly cause yourself or your family or your home, put yourself, your family, your home in danger. Simply taking this plastic cover off and putting it back on should not cause you any issues. But I wouldn't leave it off for any period of time, and I would monitor and make sure that no one else comes and tampers with it if you take it off or clean it. Clean it, put everything back together, and get it back functioning, and test it the first time you run it after you do any cleaning such as what I've done here. First time you run it, make sure that you are present, you are around, so that you can see if there's anything, if anything goes wrong, you can address it immediately. Because the last thing I would want you to do is find yourself in a position where you would cause harm to yourself, your family, or lose even your possessions. Do not, if you are 100% responsible for any damage that takes place if you take this apart and clean it yourself. So do not, if you are not absolutely 100% comfortable with doing so, that's my disclaimer, do not take this thing apart to clean it. Don't do it. I just shared with you what I did. There are some small vacuums, computer vacuums and stuff like that, that may have parts small enough that you can get in and try to get as much of this cleaned out as possible. But if you're not comfortable, don't do it. Do not do it. Wanted to make sure I covered all my bases there. That's quite a bit. If you're still watching, I want to tell you thank you so much. I hope that this video truly helped you out, and I look forward to the next video, the next product. I don't know what that's going to be yet, but if you want to know, make sure that you do hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification so you can be notified every single time I put out new content or I put out a new review on a product or something it is that we are doing or using here in our home to make life a little bit easier, hopefully make things a little bit healthier for us and all of that. So I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I look forward to talking to you again very soon.